Today we talk about backyard beekeeping with this gentleman right here, Frederick Dunn, just in 1 second.
Nice.
Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Good night, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Today we have a very interesting talk, a gentleman that I want to talk about for a long time. And the internet make me know this gentleman, Frederick Dunn. He has a YouTube channel that everybody here in this channel very likely already know. He talk about backyard beekeeping, his farm, experimentations that he does. And I bring him today because some of you also want to know him more. And some of you was interestingly, uh, you guys want to see myself and Fred together for whatever reason. So that got my curiosity. And then I have the courage to contact Fred and ask him if he could join us to a live stream today. And I was happy that he said yes. Fred, how are you? Welcome to the show.
I'm great. Thank you, Umberto, for inviting me, especially when I'm just a backyard beekeeper and you're normally bringing in these top level academics and researchers. So I'm happy to be right down here. So I hope expectations are equally low for me. The other thing is I want everybody that's here with us to notice that we coordinated our outfits today.
Yeah,
I thought that was a nice touch. That's good. Definitely. So they'll know we're on the same side here.
Okay, yeah, so we're doing great. Yeah, we have everything prepared. Fred, I'm very curious about how internet works, how social media works, and I was thinking about this. And when a couple of my followers ask me, you need to get together with Fred. You guys gonna be, good. You guys have a lot in common. Then I was just, okay, I follow Fred for a long time in his YouTube channel, but when have some people asking me that you need to get together with someone, I start to process how that, they might have seen things on you that might be, similar to what I do or the way I act. I don't know. And I'm curious about those things. And when we have this first conversation, I start to understand that more, I guess, because you are a beekeeper and you also are a professional photographer, right? Just like me. I was surprised when our conversations and all these similarities start to pop up. I said, wow, that's the power of internet, but also things that I'm scared about the internet.
Yeah. Yeah. What do they really know about it?
Yes, exactly. What did they know? A lot of things that we might don't even know about ourselves. Or I want to start this conversation with something that I want to continue to know you better. Like, how did you start in bees? What keep you? How you start with beekeeping?
Okay, well, I've always been interested in nature, wildlife, life sciences, and everything anyway. But the bottom line was that in about 2006, those documentaries started coming out. David Hackenberg, he's one of the biggest beekeepers in the state of Pennsylvania, where I live. He's the one that pointed out that he had colony, his bees all left and they called it colony collapse. And then we watched these documentaries. Several came out, Silence of the Bees, things like that, the disappearing bees. And so I kind of got panicked. I live in the country. I started walking around. It happened to be at the time when dandelions were blooming, and I went to look for honeybees on the dandelions. I couldn't find any. Now, that necessarily, in retrospect, wasn't a very good indicator that the bees were disappearing. But in my mind, they were. So I needed to know more about honeybees. So because I was a photographer, I did a lot of stock photography, by the way. I'm not sure if you do that yourself through iStock. And really. I'm also a Getty photographer. So when you see images provided by Getty, cinematic sequences provided by Getty, I'm a Getty photographer as well. So I was going out and I like to get stock images of whatever's trending, what's hot, what's new. So I contacted the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture. I wanted to find out if I could travel with an inspector. I wanted to know if I could look at some of the bees and then photograph them, and in return, provide those image resources free. So
Oh,
often photography is a foot in the door. And if they backtrack and look you up, and if you've got some kind of footprint online and they see that your work is good, that you're kind of who you say you are, they wouldn't let me ride with the inspector. Probably a great idea. But
yeah.
I was able to meet him at apiaries with the apiary owner's permission. So that was the beginning of it. The other thing is I'd only spoken with this guy on the phone. And so he said he was going to be near me at an apiary. I got permission to go down there. Then when I showed up, he was laughing because apparently my voice is younger than my face. And he thought I was about a 25-year-old maybe, because I was all excited. I was like, I'm all over it, man. I'm there. I'm going to meet you. Anyway, so I photographed a bunch of bees and a bunch of bad situations, foul brood, chalk brood, bears had torn apart hives. It was a real list of everything that could be wrong with apiaries. I got all this great documentation early, and probably what a lot of beekeepers in their own backyard, indications and diseases that some of us will never see. So I got kind of a very condensed experience on what can go wrong with bees.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's that inspector. I credit him for why I'm keeping bees, because he kind of wanted to get out from under me. He said, you really should have your own bees. You should maybe have a couple on your own property. Then you wouldn't have to come follow me around. And so I know he was looking out for me, not trying to get rid of me. I have to tell myself that. And but that's how it began. Then I was on a quest to find what kind of bees do I want to keep. Obviously, I wasn't prepared to keep bees. Following around with an inspector looking at bees is not a way to learn how to keep them. So I also had to join a beekeeping association, and then later I read all these. There were very few resources online, by the way, which is why I got Dr. Keith Delaplane's video series, chief entomologist, University of Georgia.
Yep.
So if you were Googling and searching for resources to learn, visual learning, his was it. So I credit him for kind of my early inspiration on a year in the apiary, whatever the title of that was. So from getting bees all the way through harvesting honey and resources and wintering them. So that was the beginning.
Yeah, so that was when CCD started. So 2006,
Yep.
7?
Yep. So winter, late fall 2006 and into spring of 2007, that's when I started with my bees.
Cool. So we got a club, got a video series, got a couple books, and then you start to learn by yourself, trying with error. Or how was that experience with you with the beginning?
It's actually pretty funny. I did have beginner's luck. I've always been overly confident, so let's just go there. So I didn't know enough. I didn't know enough to know that I didn't know enough. So, but I had really good luck with it. I mean, I met a guy in a McDonald's parking lot. Bad way to buy bees, by the way. He brought up packages from the South. These were Italian bees. We did the handoff. Yeah, the McDonald's parking lot. And I don't know this guy. I don't know anything about, certificates of health or anything like that. I'm also a poultry technician. We don't move birds anywhere without certificates of health signed by our state veterinarian. So I was just getting bees. So this was the handoff. No instruction. He sells me all these packages. I come home, but everything went textbook. It was everything the way it happened in the videos. I opened them up and took the queen out, shook the bees in, put the queen cage in, left her there a couple of days, pulled the cork. They ate through the candy. They did everything. So I had a lot of beginner's luck. There was no one here to mentor me. My wife was afraid to go outside. So, because I also put them right within 50 feet of our back door. So, and I went right in with 8 colonies of bees, and they produced a lot of honey. I had no idea what to do with all the honey. It was just a rapid learning curve, but I lost those bees within a year because a heavy winter storm came through and blew all my hives over. They weren't strapped down, and I lost 8 colonies.
And you got upset about that, and you try it again and again and again. Did you think about giving up?
No,
Once?
I wasn't. No.
Good.
In fact, that's what I put up. I think one of my first videos about beekeeping, which was in probably 2008, It's called This Will Not Be a Silent Spring, which was the nod to the book, The Silent Spring. And I ordered in package bees because now I found out you didn't have to meet somebody in the parking lot of McDonald's. You could order online and they would
Yep.
come in cages, and now you can install them.
Nice.
So then I just reoccupied all my hives, and it was a rapid recovery. So today, and I chased a local beekeeper around a lot. I tried to catch him in the hardware store. He would get out the back door. I would like to say his name, but it would probably get back to him. He's a commercial beekeeper. All the honey on the shelves in the local hardware stores and stuff were all by him. And the owner, who was a good friend of mine, would go, "He's back there." So I would plan my question because I was only get a 1 or 2 word response on the way out the door. "So what kind of bees are you carrying?" Italians. "All right. Thank you for talking to me." So that's what it was like. Yeah.
Some commercial guys, I guess.
Oh, he did not want anybody in his wheelhouse at all.
I know.
Guy.
Yeah.
Everybody was competition. That's the way he looked at it. So
yeah, some guys have that kind of attitude.
Yeah,
for sure. So quite interesting because the photography bring you to the bees, and then the combination of both, I guess, end up being your YouTube. How did YouTube come up with?
Well, YouTube, I was doing chickens first. My channel. I had chicken videos.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I even published a video DVD on chickens called "Regarding Chickens." If anybody wants to look that 3-hour guide to backyard chicken rearing from egg to adult. Yeah, but so photography, that got me into it, but it really had a life of its own eventually because once the bees were successful, I think very early on too, I was asked to come and talk to kids at school or go to the Whole Foods Co-op and talk about chickens and bees because they're great companion animals. But also, again, I was just speaking from very fundamental experience at that point with the bees, but it did lead me to, I met people at the county fair that were big beekeepers at the Crawford County Fair, it's called. And that guy was actually the president of the Pennsylvania State Beekeepers Association. Struck up a conversation with them, and that's when I kind of was brought into the fold. But guess what happened? Because I'm a photographer, they meet on Saturdays. Every Saturday was a wedding. I was doing over 30 weddings a year. So I could never, I know, right? Ouch. See, you understand what my life was like. So yeah, which is, it was way too much. But again, my wife is she does all my bookings and scheduling. So do not make your scheduler angry at all, or you will be occupied 7 days a week.
Oh, I see.
But yeah, that's kind of how that happened. But yeah, the photography has and continues to be in the way of my beekeeping.
In your way, but I think your skills with the photography that brought us a fantastic channel, and I appreciate it for that. The way you capture the bees and the way you do the things is so visually appealing to me that it actually was one of the first reasons I would start to watch you. Because the beauty of the footage, how you capture, I could see it was a production there. There is special lenses going on. I don't know which one it is yet, but I'm gonna ask that.
If you knew what I was using to get some of the sequences, it paid off though, because I did get some interest. Warner Brothers, the Nature Channel, Discovery, they found me because of YouTube. So that paid off. So going to those extra lengths, for even if you may have had only 10,000 YouTube subscribers or whatever you have at the time, it really can't be about how many views will you get, how many, because just continue to do the best you can with what you have. And if you can get something to get that job done better, lower light, higher speed, then you get noticed, and it pays off in the long run. Quality content over time eventually catches up to you, because it was very slow going at the beginning. I was teaching art and design also, and I would actually tell all the students, go on this YouTube channel and look at this presentation on photography. And that was my channel, my video, and see, I was trying to build my algorithm. So,
So using the
so,
kids. Oh,
so
I'm taking
anything.
notes. I'm taking
Oh
notes now.
yeah, I had like 50 views on that video. We weren't playing games. So
Oh, that's fantastic. Fantastic. So, but the transition then, you start with chickens and then
yeah,
we start with the bees because you were doing bees at the time. So you start,
bees took over from chickens.
yeah, and
I need
that's
to I need to put this in a delicate way. We think
okay.
that we
Uh-oh.
think beekeepers are contrary. So if you want to start with any kind of live animal, whether they're tutorials or if you're just sharing about what you're observing, I found chicken people, a tiny group of them, to be some of the most unreasonable people.
Wow. Really?
Um, because they had their beliefs about chickens that were not negotiable. This is what I like about the beekeeping community. Some of the chicken people, you could show them all the science you wanted to all day long, and you were not going to change anything. It's the way it always was, always will be,
No, that's
and there
interesting.
and there it is. So I became so frustrated that I'll give you an example. I talked about incubation, and
Okay.
I used to review incubators, so it was actually pretty cool. Little giant incubators, Genesis incubators, and the big expensive Rolex
Yeah,
incubators
I
and
saw a
stuff.
couple of those. I
From
saw.
Chula Vista, California, $600 incubators and everything. And I had a not a customer, but a viewer got one of the incubators and wrote me a scathing email about how the eggs failed to hatch. And this is what she had done because she live streamed it from her nursery school. I hope she's watching right now because she even put that incubator in the window so that the sun would provide the vitamin D for those chicks to hatch. And then when they did not hatch, it was completely my fault.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the kind of but this is a small percentage of the people, but they're the ones they won't let you go. They're after you.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And they
They
believe that
chase
that's
you
yeah,
like
and I never
Africanized bees.
said what was the part where I said keep your incubator away from doors and windows. In fact, your basement's probably a good location because you have a stable environment down there. I don't know where the other stuff came from. But anyway, honeybees, we know that all beekeepers get along. First of all, they all see everything exactly the same. And I hope the sarcasm is coming through heavy, but at least you can show some scientific practical testing that's repeatable that can reinforce your position on some aspect of beekeeping. So this community is very appealing to me because, first of all, we also have beekeepers from all walks of life. There are Harvard Medical School grads that are just beginning to keep bees. And then there's a guy that mows the lawn of the house next door that does some landscaping, and he's starting to keep bees. And we have this common ground, and it attracts the coolest people to me. And so when we find new things out about the bees, I find that more beekeepers' minds are open to it. And it's really fun to delve into why this is so, and then have what you discover be accepted.
That's quite interesting you're saying that because eh, yeah, you have you have lots of different experiments you pursued in your channel, and you do this very nicely with the material and the amount of bees you have. You always triggering people, making people to think, and I think that's very important. In my work, I need to visit commercial beekeepers, and I understand when you said about those beliefs. I truly got it. There is some points that you can't cross, and I don't understand why. Doesn't matter what you can show to the people, but this is more for the old folks. And I see that the new generation is completely more open mind. Do you see the same thing with your audience, or or we have a big difference here between backyard beekeepers and the commercial guys? What do you think?
Well, there is a difference in backyard beekeepers and commercial beekeepers. Their entire approach to bees
Oh, yeah,
is
definitely for sure.
fundamentally different. So, I mean, a backyard beekeeper can just be fascinated by bees, and they're the ones that are likely to have bee tattoos and bee
Yeah.
jeans and bee t-shirts and not use smoke and, just want to love their bees and sit out there. So we have the full spectrum in backyard beekeeping. We have some science-based people, but we have people that want to commune with nature, they want to commune with animals, and they want to
Yeah.
be as intimate with their bees as they possibly can. And I wish I could remember the name of this video documentary where the cover of it is a woman with a tiara on and she's covered in bees. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
That picture came to my mind. Wait a second.
yeah, and I have it, but I can't remember the name of it. Something of the sun or something like that. But anyway, that goes into the holistic, nature loving, communing. They believe their bees love them, that they respond spiritually to them. And we are not in a position to say that that's not so. It's just not my experience. So
Oh, yeah.
there's
Yeah.
a guy that has a huge cookie duster. So he's got this huge mustache and he's just combing his bees with his
Yeah, I love to
mustache.
see those things.
Right?
Got
Right?
people got so many different ways to interact
Yeah.
with the bees. That
Yeah.
fascinates me.
Yeah.
That's
So and that's what's cool though. See, this is it. When you talk about beekeeping clubs and groups and things like that, all of these types of beekeepers need to be able to come together without being shut down because that's crazy.
oh yeah.
That's I'm open to everything. I want to hear what everybody's got to say. And if you've been beekeeping for a month, I want to hear what your experience is. I want to hear what you've got to say. I don't ask you about your bees just so I can tell you everything I know about bees.
Yeah.
I really, because you never know when some 8-year-old is going to come up and point something out that you had never thought about. And that's why I love kids. I have a pile of
Yeah.
grandkids right now. I love their observation. And so beekeeping is much more, you're never going to know it all. I felt like I covered the ground on chickens. I pretty much know chickens. I know what can go wrong with them. The psychology of chickens, I thought that would be fun. There are some things still that you could do, but with bees, the horizon is wide open, and
Yeah.
there's some amazing new thing to look into, and it doesn't matter how long you've been doing it. I'm not sure how long you've been keeping bees,
I was born in the middle of that. I'm a second generation.
but you did not like it
Yep, I
in
did not like
Colombia,
them.
right? So you had a gap there. So then you came back around. But now, do you keep a bunch of bees yourself?
I don't keep my own bees, but
Okay.
I need to deal with bees of other people, which is
Right.
even
Yeah.
more complicated, I guess. When I get
Yeah.
home, bees is the last thing I want to talk about.
Okay, see, now there's a difference right there. See, I've been paid or offered money to shut up about bees and chickens, which I happily decline. Keep your money. I would much rather talk about bees and chickens. And but you know that we've never arrived at all knowing
Yeah,
about
yeah,
bees.
yeah.
So what the fire's lit and we're just out there. I just can't get enough of them. So I'm just waiting for the weather. I'm waiting for the snow to go away so that I can get out there. I don't know what it's doing there in your state.
I like to keep them. I just don't have the space. I would love to have my own so I can have the interactions I want to have with them. When I in other people's bees is a completely different approach. I need to respect it. I need to it's not pleasure to me, to be honest. It's not
Really
pleasure. Especially commercial guys. Yeah, some commercial guys are very protective. Sometimes it's a very tense situation because I need to point it out things that they don't want to hear or see.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I'd like to mention something from the comment thread over here. It's the Queen of the Sun. Is that?
Oh
movie.
yeah, the Queen of Sun.
So if you guys are watching this and you want to go way down a rabbit hole, that is a great movie, by the way. Yeah. There's a lot of really good stuff in there.
True.
And that lady on the cover got stung on the lip at the very beginning and she couldn't stop. So this is a little behind the scenes information. Her lip continues to swell through the opening sequence, but she could not stop because all the bees are on her. Of course, they used a queen bee to get them all to collect on her, but she's wearing a bee top. So it stung her right on the lips.
Oh, it's fun, but my relationship with bees is I think we can define as a family member. family member that like a brother that you fight, and then but if something serious happened with the brother, you're the first one to be there and protect
Okay.
and do that
Yeah.
kind of thing. That's my relationship with the bees my whole life. And then I gave up and decide, because the bees keep coming back to me somehow, and it's a very intriguing story. Every time I try to get rid of them and try to do something else, something in the world and the energy of the world push me back or push the bees back to me. Is fascinating. Yeah, and
You should start a YouTube channel called Inside the Hive. I'm thinking that's what you should be
I
doing.
I heard about some, yeah,
Yeah,
something about
you
that.
should do it.
I will do it. I will do
Yeah.
it.
Well, I'm glad you did come back to beekeeping. And I would like to hear more actually about, even if it was a negative experience, more about Colombia and what was going on down there with the bees.
Oh, well,
Uh,
I'm preparing. I'm going there. I want to show where
okay.
the Africanized Beast was released. I have a whole series coming. I'm putting the people together to tell the stories.
Yeah.
So it's going to be fun.
So
Just wait.
who's your mobile cinematographer?
Oh, I need you. Are you coming?
Oh,
I
interesting.
oh oh, that's a fantastic idea,
Hmm.
Fred.
We have
I
the same color shirt on.
I would love that. If we can do this series together, I'll be very glad with that.
I
Let's
love
talk.
that.
Let's
I
talk about
love
that.
that part of the world. I've been all over the world.
Oh, that's good to
I love
know,
everything.
because you know how hard it is to document things by yourself. I would love to have a some so we can do some things together for your channel, for my channel.
Yeah.
I can put you in the right places, because my college is the place where the Africanized Beast was released, escaped. Well,
Yeah.
depend of the side of the story.
Right. Somebody took a queen excluder off, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And because I study there and I know the people, I know the staff, so it's gonna be a fun documentary that I'm planning to do. And if you wanna come, you're more than welcome.
We need to talk
You need to talk.
because
That
I
see,
am
that's the
mobile.
power of internet.
Yeah.
That might be the reason this is happening right now.
A reason, a season, or a lifetime. That's why
Yeah,
people
no,
cross paths.
that's fun. Yeah, there is things about propolis that I want to show there, that I feel that people don't get it because they don't have here. I need to show more, so people get mad at me when I talk about propolis. A couple of things that, and it is hard for people to understand if they can't see it. So I need to
Hmm.
go there and show it.
Yeah.
So the amount of propolis, people come, oh, my bees do a lot of propolis, and I said, how many pounds? I said, pounds?
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Just,
in pools at the bottom of the hive
and I
sometimes.
was just, no, two scoops. Oh my God, I really need to show a couple things.
Okay, and you just hit on it, by the way. An earlier question that you asked, why photography and video?
Yeah,
Because for you or I to go out and witness something in a hive, in a field, on flowers, whatever it is, if you don't bring a witness with you, and that
yeah,
camera
yeah,
is the witness,
yeah,
that reaches a broader audience, but also it does it over and over. You don't have to
yeah.
tell the story over and over. You capture it, you share it,
Done.
and it's very difficult to say that didn't happen.
Yeah. That's
Where
true.
if we're just telling a story,
Yeah.
you know, then it can be challenged easily. And that's why experimentation and then documentation through visual medium is very important, I think.
Yeah, am enjoying this conversation very
Mhm.
much, Fred. Let's talk. And I think the people at home is already voting. Look, I vote for Team Humberto Frederick. Would be some
Uh, we
go.
need T-shirts with both of our pictures on them.
Yes, we need to,
All
yeah,
right.
let's do some investments
Okay.
and some production
Yeah.
team or and
Yeah.
oh, actually my brain is stormy now, because I can even write some to get some grants for us so we can
Now we're
be
talking.
be
Yeah.
paid for that.
All the water we can drink, and
Yep. Keep going. Keep going.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Cool. So moving on, I wanna move to a topic that I is from my, it's something that is all about my channel too. And kind of the reasons why I start my channel is to, you are a lot of about education too, and I like to talk about science a lot in my channel, and you talk about science in your channel, and you do experiments in your channel. You like to make people think, and maybe to see and create their own conclusions, and to not only listen to things and try to copycat protocols. And your channel is all about that, and that's something that always attract me. And I remember always texting you and commenting in your experiments, and what we have in that water. Do you know this? Do you know that?
Right.
Very,
Yeah.
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 It's so I want to know from you, what motivates you to keep doing this, because it's a lot of work to try to put a narrative and experiment and a line of thought and try to show it. And I know some people react pretty bad sometimes, and I want to know what motivates you to keep going with the YouTube and in your process of doing it.
Well, first of all, I have my own curiosity about it, but it would be very easy just to shut down the YouTube channel and just have time and do my own thing. Because
Yeah.
as you well know, if we're not making content
Yeah,
and
this goes
our
up.
time is
Yeah.
our own, how easy just to show up somewhere.
Yeah.
But actually what keeps me going is people write me frequently, and it helped them out or answered questions for them, or the people that write and are truly thankful for something I shared just in time. You talk about kismet and the universe talking or whatever.
Yeah.
Oftentimes it'll be something someone was just worried about and I just touched on it. This is also why I try to answer everybody's comments, which by the way is incredibly cumbersome.
Yeah.
3 or 4 hours conservatively every morning, just trying to acknowledge that somebody commented. But that keeps me going when somebody writes and they had a meaningful experience based on something that I shared that helped them out and help them with keeping bees, whatever it happens to be. And it's not all bees, by the way. My channel's pretty eclectic, so the chicken people are angry with me because they feel let down. Starting with chickens, and every once in a while I'll do something about broody hens or something like that. But that if we're looking at the responses, the bee people are like this, and the chicken people are this much of my content response. So I kind of have to go with the people. First of all, I feel that you can get chicken answers from a lot of different places. Sometimes I feel like what I'm covering with the bees, first of all, I wouldn't be doing that particular experiment or that particular observation and documenting it if I could already find it somewhere else answering the questions I have myself. So I don't like to just retread something that has been done elsewhere unless two things can be satisfied. One, I answer the questions that are not being answered, or two, I can present it in such a way that adds greater clarity to it. A lot of people, there's a reason why they're on YouTube: visual learning.
Yeah.
So if I stand by my beehive here and the camera's way off and I pull frames and hold the frame out over here and I tell you what's going on there, it's very different from what if I did this and said, oh, I got this out, and then I got really close. This is the Macro 105 mirrorless Nikon Z7 II, by the way. Anyway, so you get that in there. Now the egg is a 1-to-1 macro shot.
Yeah.
So now we really see it. And then that leads me down, because I'm excited about photography. So I know you are too. So now we marry these two interests. So this thing has a frame on it that you don't see on cameras. This allows me to rig extra lighting.
Yeah. Yep.
And come around, because, if you had this hood on, you'd have a cast shadow, things like that. Yeah. So now we have to problem solve. And that's something I really like doing too, is how can I get that shot and exploit that activity or that detail and then make that full screen?
Yeah, that brings me to my next subject, which is the photography, because I know that triggers one thing, triggers another, and triggers another. And when I look back, I spend 4 hours trying to get the shot, and I'm not satisfied. I don't know if that happens with you.
No. And you will start to if you do movies, audio is number one, video is secondary. If you
Yep,
went
yep,
to, because I graduated from cinema school too. And if I'm out there and I want to record the wing beats, I want to record the buzzing. And
yeah.
so these are exciting moments because it has to be happening at the time that you're there, and you have to have the equipment to capture it. So when I went out there just a year and a half or 2 years ago, the bees were coming out of their hive on the landing board, and the weather was really cold. And before I noticed them, I could hear them. They were making audible. They're just going
Mm,
They're all warming up. They're not
yeah.
flapping their wings. And why are they doing that right now? Because bees are conservative. Well, there was a European hornet on the landing board.
Oh,
So I run. This is if my neighbors see me. I don't know what happens, but I run as fast as I can back into the house. I get the gear. I run back out there as fast as I can because I want to catch it while it's happening. And getting that audio, getting that video, because all the years I've been keeping bees, that happened once. If your
it's
camera cards,
good
if
to
your
hear
cards
that.
aren't loaded, that's why all my gear is staged, and I have different cameras with different lenses and capabilities already on them, ready to go.
So I don't know if that's scribed.
What?
Yeah, and now we need to talk with some specialists in that kind of subject. But there is there are people that claim there is that kind of behavior in the scientific community, if I'm not mistaken, and some people that claim that Apis mellifera doesn't do that. But
Oh, yeah. That's right. That came up before, and I was able to go.
you're
Well,
saying now,
look at this.
yeah,
It's on my channel.
yeah,
So, yeah, you're right, because you're right. They wouldn't heat up to defend themselves like that.
yeah,
And but there again,
the
there it
camera,
is.
our
There it
our
is.
best friend, yeah.
Yep. And yeah, it's a catch-22 also because I sometimes make equipment decisions that will never pay off.
Oh yeah, no. Oh, well,
So the camera equipment is prohibitive. And I believe you're a Canon photographer.
I'm a Canon guy,
You're
but
a
my
Canon
my
guy.
videos are from Panasonic. I'm a Panasonic.
Okay. Well, I'm going to show you my latest video camera.
Oh, here we go.
Okay. And what's beautiful about this is, if people are watching, I'll show it from the side first. This just came out for the Olympics, as we know, we just watched. And this is the Nikon Z9.
Oh, you got the Z9.
And it's interesting to see how you said that, because like people watching can't buy one. So
Yeah, it's
so that's you
heavy.
have to
Yeah.
you have to be an insider to get one. The earliest the guys can get them is in September now. But here's the thing, it has a shutter release of 1/32 thousandth of a second. So we know a wing beat is 250 cycles per second if they're just hovering. So now this opens up a whole new video. This is 8K video. So obviously I'm not
fun.
gonna. Yeah, right. So
There's gonna be a lot of things coming up in your channel that I'm already salivating for.
Right. So does it make sense to buy that camera
No.
to shoot some bees? No, it doesn't.
No.
Unless you're borderline off your rocker and have to have an enhanced capability to get this
what you
for the
want.
sake of getting it. And the slow motion sequences of bees flying, they're just
it's beautiful. Yeah.
just if you've ever priced out slow motion camera equipment, it's just ridiculous. And it makes no sense other than I have to get that.
I don't know if people at home can understand what's going on here with all this triggering about equipment and what's happening, why we need to do that, and why we spend sometimes so much money. Oh my God. Yeah, but it is what it is. So, okay. So I have another question for you, Fred, that I'm curious about your process. And I actually want to learn from you because I'm not a big channel, but I start to receive a lot of requests to review equipment and review products, and I don't know how to deal with that. I don't know what to do about that. I did that in 2 occasions because it was just about to talk about science. It's not a me endorsing anything. I'm not
Hmm.
sure if I'm able to, I want to endorse anything because I don't have my own bees. And
Hmm.
I think I'll be more comfortable if I use myself. Okay, I like this. This is the reason why I like. That's what I'm talking about. But when
Hmm.
somebody come with something new that I have no idea, I don't have where to test. So
Hmm.
I received these emails and people calling. People want to send stuff, and
Hmm.
I don't know how to deal with that. How and I know you review lots of products and that you use. So how you deal with this whole thing?
Um, I don't
Oh,
accept offers. There's one. Okay, there's one thing that somebody sent to me for free,
okay.
um, and that's Laura B's has a vaporizer for oxalic acid vaporization. We ran into them down, and I understand why.
Yeah.
He's up against the ProVap 110, which has been out for a long time. It's made by the Oxivap company, and he's got a vaporizer that's roughly half the price. Now, the cool thing about this guy was normally I don't like to get something free like that for the reasons I've stated before. I want to shake it down, and if I'm critical of it, here's what I have done in the past. If I got something and I was going to be, if it was just a train wreck, there's no way it was going to do what they claimed. I would rather not make a video about it. I know that makes some people pretty upset because they would really love for you to just tear something apart if it's not working, and there's some kind of responsibility to show that something is not what they say it is. I just tell them you can have it back. I don't want anything to do with it,
Interesting.
because I would rather talk about something that's beneficial. So, but this guy, back to Laura B's, LOROBBEES. Um, there may be problems with the unit, but you know what? He wants to know that, and he wants you to say that. He wants you to pick it apart so that in his next version of
Interesting.
that unit, he wrote me several times. He says, "Oh, if you don't like it, say so. If you find problems, say so." And just very open about that. Now, I just happen to be in wintertime and I can't test it, but I'm going to give that thing a major shakedown, and I'll give him constructive feedback. So, but there's a person who's made a product. It's a very sophisticated piece of gear that a lot of people won't use, but those that are going to buy vaporizing units like that would like to get something that's a couple $100 cheaper. And if it works really well, they need to know about it. So we'll do a side by side. But I'm impressed by a company owner that's willing and open to criticisms of their product, because I have worked and had exchanges in research and development with other companies that wanted to hear not one negative thing about what they've got. And they definitely don't
Yeah.
want you to mention it. And they want to see the video before you put it out. Okay, well, then I don't feel comfortable evaluating your equipment, because integrity
Is
is
everything.
everything. And
Everything.
if you uh, misrepresent something, first of all, people are going to find out. They're not ridiculous. I
Yeah,
mean, it's
that's
just like the experiments that I do, whether it's sea salts, or whether it's the water they choose, or whether or not bees will go for sugar syrup without additives or with additives. I do them in such a way that all the equipment that I use is accessible. We list it. The baseline is the water that we first show that the bees prefer. There we're going to do sugar syrup. All the sugar syrup is the same for all 4 or 5 units, whatever it is. And then we follow the labels and put the teaspoon of Honeybee Healthy, Pro Health, Beekeeper's Choice, whatever these additives were, which are stimulants, appetite stimulants. So when we do it like that, I show the video. First of all, it's a time lapse because we want to see these levels going
going. Yeah.
uncut,
Yeah.
uncut. Because you don't want somebody thinking you took one away, and then
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
had to
Yeah.
change the order of them. So we even did that too, by the way. The most consumed swapped positions with the least consumed. So we did all of that. But the beauty of it is anybody can do those again in their own
Yeah.
backyard, and they find that it validates what we said. So set it up so that you answer as many questions as you can, and that it's a repeatable, practical test that there's a lot of homeschool kids out there. So that's the other end of it. Let's have a problem. This is sold as a stimulant, let's just say. What's the purpose of that? To get them to consume the sugar syrup. So then what happens if it's just sugar syrup? would they really consume this more than that? So we're asking these questions, and then we come up with a procedure to answer those questions. And it's the most basic scientific process to have a control, and then we modify and see what the
Yeah,
results are.
on location, and I enjoy when you talk about this to
Yeah.
the people at home, to do it there, to see the difference in the environments and the difference in the water,
Right.
because
Yeah.
most of the problems that I solve in the field with other people is sometimes it's so simple and things that you can find, and people don't realize the water can be different from one location to another, or you can't compare the protocols with your neighbors. You can't. And I enjoy when you encourage people to do those experiments at home. That
Mm-hmm.
really
Mm-hmm.
please me to see people following you and trying these different things.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty good. I really enjoyed that. And I want
Mm-hmm.
to thank you for all of this work that you do.
Well,
I
thank
think
you.
in the name
Yeah.
of everybody that watch you, including myself, it's pretty neat. It's pretty neat.
Mm-hmm.
So, Fred, I want to take some questions from people at home too, so we can bring some
Sure.
people at home from home in this conversation. See if they can spark some of this another part of these conversations. Guys, if you have some questions for Fred, now is the time. We're watching you guys here. And in the meantime, Fred, when I see the questions coming, if somebody have any question,
Mm-hmm.
what yeah, I know you mentioned you are a
Mm-hmm.
Nikon guy.
Mm-hmm.
What lenses do you use?
All of them.
All okay, so that's my
Here's the okay. So in Nikon, just like Canon, they have Canon Pro Service members, and Nikon
yeah
has Nikon Pro Service members. Um, so the glass, which for those who are not into photography,
yeah
lenses are referred to as glass, and then there's fast glass, there's pro glass, and that is more important than the camera body that you're putting it on,
I agree
because your
100%.
lenses, you collect forever. Now, some lenses I did not get, like for example, Nikon made this 08 f08
Yeah, I
lens.
saw that. Who's gonna use that?
Uh, First, yeah, it's like a 5-pound lens. I have no practical purpose for it whatsoever. The camera bodies are capable of extreme low light already, so I don't need that anymore. So whatever the top lenses are that get the cleanest, we have these fluorite coated lenses that I think are fantastic. They're lighter weight. I've got lenses that weigh 10 pounds. So whatever the best glass out there is, I get it. If I get it before it's released, we get to review it. But the way Nikon is, the same as probably Canon. You pay for it. You pay full
Yep.
price. They're not handing that to you. You just get it early, like that.
Yep.
Z9, you get it, but you're paying for it. So the lenses, standard. If you're a portrait photographer, you're using the 16 to 24 zoom, 24 to 70, and the 70 to 200. That's the trilogy.
The trilogy, yeah, the trilogy.
And whenever a company comes out with a macro lens, and that's that macro just came out. It's not even a year old. That technology, that lens has been out. Whatever the top grade macro lens is, I'm getting it because that's where I live. That is, I want to see every lens in that bee's eye. I want to see the hairs. And I want to see it full screen uncropped. So right in there. So now how do we get closer than 1-to-1 on the sensor? These are all full frame sensors. So now we have extension tubes.
Yeah.
And the good news is those new Z series cameras, they came out with the Z extension tubes, and they're ridiculously expensive, but they're going to get you closer. And that's where I don't know if you've seen it, but there's a microscopic video of honeybees waking up. So there are bees that were taken off cold landing boards, and you put these on your kitchen table, and I was getting ready to do stack macro shots. So for people that don't know what that is, you're photographing slices as you go through. So that one eye image might be 72 exposures. The shallow depth of focus, the field, depth of field on that, this is so other people understand. You're stacking them, putting it all together. But what happened was, and it was awesome because I had an adapter. I had the camera on the microscope, stereo microscope, And it started to, I noticed it looked like his foot moved just a little bit. And I thought, this thing's going to come around. I'm going to video. So I went to video instead of photography. I had this raking light, these really powerful LED focused beam lights raking across the dark field base there. And I just got this. I was so excited. You don't even know. I was just like, oh my gosh. And look at, like, its tongue went up a little bit. And what I was really hoping would happen is they have the ability to flare out the little feathery tongue appendages. You know what I mean?
Yep.
If it did that, I would have quit. That's the last day taking pictures. I couldn't do any better. So I put that out. And to me, that's a pinnacle accomplishment. And this is an example of social media or YouTube. It doesn't get a lot of views. If people understood what and then we cut away to a drone and his eyes are filling the whole thing and the lighting and you see every lens.
Yeah.
And to me, I mean, obviously I made it. I'm celebrating my own work, but come on, you got to see this on a big screen. You got to see what this is like. And that had to just happen that day. And I had to have all the equipment just ready to go.
Oh, that's
good. Just, if you haven't seen it, by the way,
you have all the toys.
Microscopic honeybees.
Microscopic honeybees.
Yeah. And I think the other thing that hurts people on social media or YouTube, and I get in trouble with viewers, they flat out tell me, your videos sucked. You didn't say anything. Okay. Well, I don't think it sucked. I paid a lot of money for the music that's on there, by the way. But I get it. They want to know what they're looking at, especially if it's under a microscope and you're looking at. I mean, I had a great chance to explain the anatomy.
Yeah.
So again, I probably need to revisit the sequences and instead talk about the simple eyes, talk about the compound eyes, talk about how they use all these sensors, the mandibles, the ice cream scoop shape of them. Just everything. There is a great opportunity to go in and explain that. And I could see myself, because I give presentations quite a bit. I have one coming up at Edinburgh University. They're advanced. It's the Biology Honor Society. So these are like all the whiz kids. I would love to put that on a full screen and then talk them through it, because from a biology standpoint, that's very interesting. A lot of them are not interested in bees at all. So you kind of have to present it in a way that takes it a step up. So, yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
People at home is asking for the link. Do you have the link?
The link to
the microscopic video that you
oh man,
just
you
mentioned?
Want me to
I don't know.
Look it up right now?
No, we can get it later.
We could put it in the video description later, maybe.
I was just wondering if you have that.
I'd have to leave. I'd have to leave the page to find it.
Okay. So Mike have something for you here. So Fred, what software do you use for stacking the photos? Do you have a specific, or you Photoshop?
Photoshop CC, because you could load a stacked image. Actually, that's the lazy man's way of stacking. But by the way,
agree.
That stuff works so well now.
And it's getting better.
I do not miss the old days when I had to go through and erase one layer after another. No. But yeah, it has stacking functions. There's lots of tutorials on that right on YouTube, focus stacking, and it's the latest version because it's Adobe CC. So I have the whole suite, and it just updates constantly. But their stacking program, load files into stack. There they go. And then do you want to blend them? Do you want to Control Alt Delete and autofill? You know, so it even balances color variations and exposure variations and things like that. All that work is done for you, and you end up with this incredibly huge. You could have a 3-foot by 4-foot image of a bee's eye.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
And it's just amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I spend a lot of time with this thing, and it's good to be around somebody that share the same excitement when you're by yourself trying that thing for hours and you get tired.
Oh yeah. And I don't know if it happens to you, Umberto, but I'm sometimes the only one that's that excited about it. I mean, I'm
Oh
like,
yeah, no,
why don't you get it?
yeah,
It's just,
yeah,
you won't believe what I just saw.
yeah.
And it's
That's
right here. It's on my camera. It's called chimping, by the way, for
I,
those
I,
of you who look at the screen on the back.
I think
But
maybe that's why we decide to show to YouTube, because YouTube is gonna find somebody that like it.
well, and see, that's the key too. If 50 people watch it, but
Yeah,
they really appreciate it,
yeah, I'm
and
fine with that.
right, these responses, they come from photographers, like yourself. If you appreciate something, that's coming from a photographer that understands what it took to get that.
Yeah.
So that is validation right there. That's
If
just a good
one
feeling.
if one person just get it, I'm just happy
Yeah,
with that. Yeah.
yeah, that's right. Surround yourself with like-minded people that appreciate your skill set.
Okay, so Barbara Barbara is asking something for you. Look, University of Montana beekeeper classes need new videos and photos for their program. Hint.
Hmm. Um, I actually, for educational institutions, I do give some of my work for use in their coursework. It can't be used on social media, but I have donated to a lot of people doing their graduate work, people doing their doctorate work. So audio of bees inside. A lot of people that were at Cornell that were doing graduate work hit me up way before um, I went to Cornell, that were needing that information. So if it's an educational institution, I do loan
That's very nice
sequences
of
and
you.
audio, and there's no price associated with that. If it's something else that is for earning money, then I don't do
Yeah.
it. But even like Irish Public Television uses my stuff, and so if you write to me, then there's a form on my website you can fill out to contact me, and let me know what you want to use it for, what you need, and I can Dropbox that to you.
So if it is a free program that people
It
don't make
has to be
money on,
that's correct.
so
If
you don't grant commercial license.
no, because
Okay.
that's through Getty Images and
Yep,
stock.
that's correct.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
make a lot of sense, and
So yeah.
very nice of you to do that kind of donation. Yeah, very nice. So how you got your master degree in Cornell, right?
It's not a master's degree, it's master beekeeping.
Yeah, master beekeeping. Yes.
So yeah. So that was through Cornell, and kind of like a lot of things, I wanted to make sure that I was filling in the gaps. I needed to know if
Okay.
I'm teaching about bees. I
Okay.
really have to know what I'm talking about. I wanted to make sure if there are some weaknesses in what I know about the bees and gaps that need to be filled. I started researching master beekeeper programs. Cornell was the first master beekeeper program in the United States.
True.
It happens to be the same school where Dr. Tom Seeley is. There's a bunch of people that I really like. They're in beekeeping, bee research.
A lot of history there. Yeah.
Right. And I had already worked with a lot of the students in the past. And so I decided to sign on with that program. It took about 2 years, and it really was worth it. I was very happy.
Okay,
It definitely worth it because also I'm a veteran, 30% off for veterans, free tuition.
That works.
So that worked for me. And I liked it because it pushed me into areas that I never would have gotten into, parts of beekeeping.
Cool. Good to know. Good to know.
Yeah, it was great. And the final exam was no joke. So I told my wife, we're both retired Navy. I was a nuclear examiner in the Navy. So that's academically exhausting. It'll ruin your brain. And that final exam was right up there because it's about bees. It's biology. And because the campus was closed, we took the exams. Every question was an essay.
Oh, yeah.
And it was 2 or 3 hours. And every answer, I typed 70, 75 words a minute. I finished my last answer, and I knew the answers. I finished my last answer with 15 seconds to spare before that thing shut down. I don't know how people get through that. I mean, you just have to be super fast. I understand why they do that. They don't want you to have time to be looking anything up or doing any cheating, or you know what I mean? And that's why everything's an essay instead of just, multiple guess or whatever.
Yeah.
So I was very impressed with the program, and I was terrified waiting for the for the final
The
scores to come
final
out.
score.
Yes. I did not want to spend 2 years on a program and then not make it. And they'll let you come back and try again, of course. But no, I was very happy to do that. Just a very worthwhile program. I'm sure
Good.
all the Master Beekeeper programs are very challenging. I really loved doing it through the Dice Lab.
Yeah, I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
I'm glad you have a positive response from that, because I've been in many universities here. I helped to build a couple of them, and sometimes we get some very, very tough comments from people that's a waste of time and this kind of thing. And it's just,
you know who says it's a waste of time?
Yeah,
the people that didn't finish.
Yeah,
and it's like when you're in school, nobody asks you what you got on your paper except somebody that got an A.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and you know a lot of the faculty there at Cornell, right?
Yes, I do.
Yeah,
I do.
see, so it's just a stellar group.
And
that program is changing constantly too.
Constantly,
so they're updating. Just the coursework is exhaustive. So and Emma runs that program, and she's just top of the heap.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
Yeah,
so it's good. It's good to see. Dice has a history. There is a lot of history in the bee research in the United States. At the beginning, when the Africanized bees arrived in the United States, Dice was there immediately trying to help out with students. We put some postdoc people to address the issue. Yeah, so Dice is fantastic. So, but I'm glad that you did. I'm glad you appreciate the work. That is good. It's good.
Oh yeah. I still refer to my notes.
Good. All right. Question for you, Fred.
How do you like your horizontal hive so far? I know you said you release your plans for it. Okay. I like the hive. I don't know if my bees like it, but the plans, by the way, all seriousness. Because that hive, it was a classic, again, an opportunity to video and photograph problems with bees. That colony had everything, sac brood. In fact, we just covered sac brood. So again, stock photography in mind, it's time to video and photograph all of these brood conditions. Chewed brood, sac brood, pheromites clambering over, the brood frames. So it was an opportunity to document a lot of issues, which resulted in me pulling a lot of brood frames. 2/3 of the time through the year, they're still alive. I'm amazed.
The bees are fantastic.
So that colony, based on the thermals, we had -8 degrees Fahrenheit 2 days ago. I was out there with the thermal camera. I'm failing at keeping 10 colonies of bees. We have 21. It looks like they're going to make it. I'm going to have too many bees. And we have a lot of things going on out there. The horizontal hive, those of you who are waiting for print, says they're coming out Friday for sure. They're free. It's going to be right on my website.
Right.
I have a very talented guy doing the CAD drawings for those. And I think people are going to be very impressed. I handed him a bunch of sketches. So what you would call loosely classified as technical illustrations. And he turned those just into finished CAD drawings. So there'll be PDFs. You can do the whole thing. I think it's going to be about 10 pages.
Wow.
So be ready for that.
Yeah.
But I think people will be very happy with the quality. Price is right. It's free. So if you want to see how I configured it, what I did, what worked, what I'm changing, it's all there.
That's why, that's the thing I like about you and your approach. You really enjoy to provide. I think I appreciate that on you. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
So, okay. Now I'm officially terrified about Cornell Master Beekeeping.
No, don't be. Okay, this won't scare you. I'm going to throw a statistic out. Can I do that?
Yes, you can.
150 candidates started the program with me.
Okay.
How many finished? 29.
29. So I am officially terrified myself.
So if that doesn't give you confidence to just fire in there, but I'm telling you, and it's worse because they publish for us everyone who graduated. So we've known each other through this program because we have a lot of open forum discussions and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
But then at the end, here are the graduates. And so we know who made it and who didn't. You're either on it or you're not. And I felt really bad for some people because I know they worked very hard. And I know that's disheartening for people. On the flip side of that, you want it to feel like an accomplishment.
Yeah.
So if it was too easy, it just wouldn't feel right.
Have you had conversations with the people that some of the folks that fail? Do you know
Yeah.
what happened?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
What do you think it happened? Or what?
They just studied the wrong thing. It's the worst. It's like, I don't know, people, everything's college level, first of all. So for some people, they didn't expect that. They think it's like, B club training or something. And it's not. They're very pragmatic about how they're going to grade your exams and stuff. So it's not personal. Either you get these right or you don't. And it's people should continue to study. If you take a final exam of a program that's that long, it's so comprehensive.
Yeah.
If you have skimmed through any category, I guarantee you that's what's going to be on your final exam. Because a final exam can only have so many topics in it.
Yeah.
So you're left guessing. And of course, I did the usual thing. I tried to send virtual apples to the teacher. I talked to other teachers that I made friends with. So what should I study up? What should I, look at? What am I facing here? And of course they say, oh, just study the whole appendix. You'll be good. So they're just, they're not helping you. So you're left with go into your weak spots, And so I had a stack of index cards that thick, and my wife would go through them while we're driving somewhere, and she'd ask me questions. I would run down these answers. So I was drilling every single day. And then narrowing it down, anything that I didn't know very well or partially missed, that ended up in my distilled stack of things Fred might not know. So that's how I did it. I mean, you're in class with veterinarians and people that are used to studying and life sciences. In fact, there's a lot of veterinarians that go into master beekeeping. So they're just those annoying people that are probably in the front row of the class, always answering the teacher's questions.
Yeah. Fantastic. Congratulations. You deserve it. You earned that.
Thank you. See, we have mini buns that went to school at Cornell for law. Yeah. That's another easy topic. These people that take the easy way out. It's like my stepfather was a doctor of biochemistry from Harvard. Like they know anything. Anyway.
All right, Fred, another question. I think we answered that, but I think he might have arrived later. So how long have you been working with bees?
Since the fall of 2006.
When CCD started. And that was my transition here to United States. Can you believe that? That's the USDA were looking for a guy that have virology background and beekeeping background. And apparently I was the only guy on the planet.
There you go.
You never know how things going to work out. All right. And by the way, before I forget, and that's a constant topic. People, I invite lots of people, and you did a comment that I just want to clarify. I don't even think about this. I bring people that I'm curious about in this channel. And people are scared that because I bring other people that have degrees and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Please don't be. I don't know if I don't want to pass that impression that I bring the educated, graduated people from university. Yes, I do that because that's the people that I work with all the time. But I'm a very, very simple guy, and I bring everybody here.
Well, you're anything but simple. But the other thing is, because I watch all of those, and I'm just like, PhD, what?
Yeah.
What? Biologist, what? Why does he want to talk to me? What am I going to have to say?
That's the thing. Yeah, I those titles to me, this doesn't mean too much, to be honest, especially when you're in it. So you can see there is differences, and
Mm-hmm.
with passion, when you know people, what people that know, and people know how to pass a test. There is so many things that I don't care about those things too much. So I only bring the people that I'm interested with too. And you are one of these guys, and you have a lot of experience. You teach people, and that connects with me.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate being here today. I can tell you.
Yo, it's and all those compliments are free.
Yeah. Well, that's a good part. That's
Yep.
good.
So, but I'm really interested to have these conversations about travels. Oh, so somebody said something here that we need to go to Mike Palmer place and do videos there, two of us.
I'm on board with anything that's in Vermont because my family's from up there.
Yeah.
I come from a 3-generation Vermont dairy farm family up in Craftsbury. Which is across, it's east of where Mike Palmer is. He's on the west side of the state. I would go up there in a microsecond.
All right, Mike, if you're listening, you're gonna
Yeah.
get visitors. Put
Yeah.
some beers in the in the fridge.
Yeah.
I don't know if you Fred drink beer,
I
but
don't drink beer, but
you
I
can
would
bring
I
whatever
would
you need.
I would go to Mike Palmer's place
Good.
for sure.
So, Mike, get ready. We're coming.
Yeah.
Mikey was very pleased with the live stream. He wants to do it again. I think that's great. If you guys didn't follow, I interviewed Mike Palmer here in the
Oh
channel.
yeah. Yeah.
It was really nice to see Mike again.
Yeah,
Okay.
if you want to know where you stand, he's the guy to talk to.
Yeah,
He
I
is.
like Mike very much. We know each other for a long time.
Oh, good.
Okay, let's see. Question. What are the ways to tell your hive have varroa other than seeing them or looking at the stick board?
Well, that's Brad. He's a frequent viewer, frequent commenter. There's a lot of
You know, Brad?
I think Brad watches every YouTuber about bees. He is dedicated.
Hi,
And
Brad.
so,
good to have you here.
but there is an app, by the way, if you want to play around with it, called Bee Scanning.
Yep.
And their algorithm is improving all the time. And so if you're just going through your beehive and you're pulling the frames, you get to the brood. If you follow their guidelines, 10 centimeters, whatever it is, and you shoot 4 sections on that, I am impressed by how many varroa mites will show up on that. Now, we know that the varroa mite is going to attach itself to your abdomen in an area where you're not going to see it. So it's not a meaningful way. And they'll hate me for saying that, by the way, because they say that's factored into their algorithm. But if you're seeing it with that app, then your bees probably have a pretty decent problem. So other than looking for them on, the landing board, like you said, if you're cleaning it up, you can see them. And of course, the mite counts. But if you just want to look at them, that's the closest thing you'll get if you just want to take a look without going to any other effort. So this is part of your cursory inspection of your hive, getting into the brood. Take pictures with your phone, and you get feedback right away. And it even says whether this colony should be treated right away. So by the way, if you hit that threshold with that scanning app, they're phoretic mites. They're on the bodies of the bees, and they're visible aside from those plates under the abdomen. You do have a problem. You got a problem.
You're in trouble.
So that just saved you having to do the mite wash and everything else. So I say it's good for finding them. It's good for also giving feedback to those who created the app that was a varroa mite, because you get close-ups of it. You can validate it. And so it also, if you hit treatment levels, that saves you a lot of time. Now you're right at treatment. So, but it cannot be used to consider your colony clear of mites.
Yeah.
So, but if you want to know if you need to treat right now and you got a problem, that's a good app for it. So that's one of the ways I recommend. Bee scanning.
Bee scanning. Yeah, I saw they give a talk once. I think I saw the first time I saw them was in Apimondia in Canada. They saw the talk about them, and I was curious to see if somebody have tested the algorithm lately to see if it matches with the alcohol shake or something.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah. I don't think nothing's going to beat the alcohol shake, and better than the alcohol shake. is what?
Yep. Soap, alcohol.
Yep, because Randy Oliver did that, and I bought a bunch of that afterwards. So I don't do alcohol anymore. I just use the Dawn Ultra free and clear dish detergent.
Good. All right. Let's see what we got here. Um, any suggestions on what to do with dead out honey frames if crush and strain is your only extraction method? Crush and strain. Okay.
Well, if it's a dead out, that honey's only good for human consumption because you don't know what they died from. You don't know
Yeah.
if that honey is carrying pathogens.
Yeah.
So, but I don't understand the question because
Yeah.
if you're asking about crush and strain, it sounds like you're trying to preserve the comb and get the honey out.
Yeah,
And
Andrew, I'm not sure I'm following the question here because you have
yeah,
a dead out, and what do you want to
yeah,
do? You want to preserve the frames to reuse it, or the wax after you crush and
yeah.
strain?
And then the other part is jump starting a new colony. You don't know because even if you got the honey out, the comb may still carry
Yeah,
pathogens. So unless you can really determine what the cause of the dead out was, and you're fairly confident that there's no disease to the brood,
yeah,
and if that's just, I see it there again, backyard beekeeping. If I'm a commercial beekeeper, I'm worried about the resources used to build new comb. But because I'm a backyard beekeeper, if I'm in doubt, I throw it out,
okay.
and then they
Oh,
can just start new. So
yeah, since
yeah,
we are entering in the backyard beekeeping area, and you are the expert, would you? So we started this conversation before everybody joined us. Would you? How How do you see? Do you recommend people to get bees, or you first make sure that there is the right person for the job?
yeah, and that's a really good question because listen to the way they ask about beekeeping.
Yeah,
Can I make a bunch of money doing this?
yeah. When you start
Okay,
like that,
I don't care about talking to that person about bees. On the other hand, if somebody's visiting and they find out that I have all these beehives, first of all, it's sensational to them.
yeah,
Uh, if there's 20 colonies of bees out there, it's just holy
yeah,
cow, right here by your driveway. But but then you find these people that are like they hang on your every word, and you bring them over and you sit them down next to a landing board and start pointing out what's going on there, and you hear the level of excitement in that person's voice,
yeah,
and they're naturally interested in that, and they really want to know what's going on. That's the person that I say you should think about beekeeping. Oh, I wouldn't know where to begin. I wouldn't know how to start. I'll help you out.
yeah. That's
I'll
different.
get you started.
That's
Because that's a person that you know is interested in life sciences. That person loves
yeah,
it, and you get to talk to them about it. And the number one question is always, "Are you allergic to bee stings?" You need to know that.
yeah,
Because this bothers me too. I do get emails from people that have powerful allergies to bee stings. They carry EpiPens and everything else. I highly recommend you do not keep bees.
Well, welcome to my world.
I
I am
mean,
allergic.
you know what?
So that's exactly with the, there's a whole story at the beginning when I didn't like the bees. Was there is a personal story behind that. It's just my father keep very hot Africanized bees were very difficult to handle that, and he always
Yeah,
pushed me to help him and to do things, and I got stung like a. I hate them. I just hate as a kid. You don't have
yeah.
a. I just hate them.
And that's primacy. That's an early
Yeah,
experience that was negative, and
yeah, it
that's
was
long
completely
lasting.
negative.
So yeah,
They caught me good a couple times. That was, yeah, terrible. And I lost a dog as a kid. Very attached to a dog, and you have all those terrible stories. And that's why I grow up trying to avoid them. But at the same time, there is that feeling. When I see them dying, 2006, it kind of there is something that trigger. Oh, nobody mess with my sister or my brother. I'll do
yeah,
everything I can to help them out.
yeah.
Is that's the relationship. There is a passion there. So okay, more questions. Let's see if you have, wow, it's coming, things coming. And you let me know if you have other things to do,
I'm
Fred,
actually
because
I'm supposed to be on another live feed.
oh, really?
But
Well,
that's okay.
we
They're
can
calling
wrap it
it,
up.
yeah, they're calling it a pop-in guest. So I'm supposed to pop in.
You know, people at home have a lot of stamina there, so we
That's
can't keep you here forever. It's up to you.
yeah. Yeah, I
So,
probably should pop in. We'll take one more question and then I probably should
okay,
go.
one more question here. There is another question. I think that's the first one I could see was a question.
Okay, Barbara Turner, would you treat for mites shortly after installing a package or a nuke, even though the procedures say they've been treated?
Ooh.
So okay, now what's the treatment that you're using? So here's my plan. I'm not a fan of treating a package when it first arrives. Now you're stressing the bees already. They're just getting acquainted with the queen. We don't want to associate the treatment with the queen. So I install them and make sure that they're in, they're getting all settled up. How many days do you have before you are running out of time to treat with oxalic acid vaporization, which was what I recommend you do it to? Do it on the 8th day. So get them in there, let them get settled, feed them, put syrup on, all that stuff so that they're, and the queen's out and she's laying, because that's kind of your timeline. Whenever the queen's out of her cage and once she starts laying, then we've got 9 days before they start capping those. So we're well ahead of it. If you go by the 8th or 9th day after the package install, you get over 90% of those phoretic mites. So I'm a fan of that. I'm not a fan of treating as soon as you receive them. I know some people say that. Would I do it if the seller says they are already treated? Yeah, I would. You know why? Because they can still get mites. I don't want to do a mite count and wipe out, 300 bees right off the bat. So it doesn't hurt at all to give them an OAV. That's my opinion. What do you think, Umberto?
I love, I love backyard beekeeping because you can really make a protocol very specific for a situation that when you know the bees, and you a guy that is demonstrating here right now, you know the timing, you know when the treatment is going to be, what kind of bees they're going to be active to, and that's fantastic. In my work style, I need to do protocols for hundreds of
Yeah.
hives at the same time. Is you
Yeah.
cannot think like the way you're thinking precisely what's going on with the bees, the timing is going to be kept open or closed, and that's the beauty when you have the backyard beekeeping and you have low numbers of bees hives, so you can adjust and you really enjoy the bees. I think I prefer your style.
Yeah.
All right, fantastic. I'm gonna wrap it up. So Fred, I want to say thank you one more time for your
Yeah.
time, for what you do, for all your effort to get the best shots for us to see at home for free, all the dedication you have. In the name of everybody that watch you, thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And thank you, all of you that are in that comment thread. Thanks for being here, too. Lots of familiar faces or screen names. Sorry, I don't see your faces. I can't see you. But thanks a lot. I had a great time. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
thank
Yep.
you, guys. If I miss questions, I'm sorry. We need to wrap it up. But see you guys next time inside the
Okay.
Hive.tv, the show
All
about
right.
bees.
Ooh, the way to be.
Yeah, you forgot that.